If Auburn's next head coach is John Sumrall, what would that mean for recruiting and acquiring talent?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're joined by Brian Smith, host of The Portal. That is Locked On's recruiting, transfer portal, NIL show. We'll talk about how much this stuff matters. The recruiting prowess matters for a head coach for Auburn during this hiring cycle, as well as who else could be best. But I want to start the conversation around John Sumrall, Brian. This is a guy that I think the reports around him are the most legitimate. I think some of the other stuff floating around, I think some of it might be true. Some of it might be smoke. Some of it might be the coach wants it more than the school. But I think the John Sumrall situation is the most likely one right now as we record this today, Brian. And this is interesting because this is a pretty big jump. Troy to Tulane to the best conference in college football, and it's not close. When it comes to talent acquisition, recruiting, maintaining the roster, what is your level of confidence in seeing a guy like John Sumrall with this?
Well, if it's Auburn, you got to remember he was at Troy, so he knows the state of Alabama.
Correct.
He's been at Tulane. Everybody recruits the New Orleans area, including Auburn. He's from Texas. Last I checked, they have a lot of talent. And he's coached G5, where if you don't hit every single rock and turn it over, it doesn't work out well for you. He fits all the boxes for Auburn because we know the schools that are around him: Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida State. They have to find guys in the rough every now and then too. He will fit in fine. But the question is, can he win some of the 5-star battles? That's the only question that I have. I mean, we just don't know. No offense to Tulane. They're not in those battles. But everything else, I'm fine because they've evaluated well. They've kept kids. I know one of the guys on his staff in the back office, he's hired the right people.
Yeah.
Now, which ones, this is the tough part, which ones does he bring with you to Auburn that will blend into? And who are his coordinators? Those questions obviously are to be determined.
Yeah, and you got to think that Auburn is in a spot to financially say, let's do this. We don't want to do this again. We want to go all in on someone. Is it Sumrall? I think most people, if they had to pick today, they would say Sumrall's the most likely option. So this pitch it's about resources, right? And obviously, rev share is great, and that's going to be the same across the board. But when it comes to NIL, when it comes to money for a staff, John Sumrall, if it is him, will be in a position that he's never been in, not close. And Tulane's good for their level of football. Troy, really solid piece of, I think the Sun Belt is honestly underrated as a conference, but it's not the SEC. And so it's impossible, or else everybody would nail these hires all the time. It's impossible to predict who can make that jump and who can't. And so just from a recruiting point of view, strictly, he'll have access to more money when it comes to NIL than you could possibly imagine at Troy and Tulane. Is that enough? Is that enough accompanied with what we assume is, his ability to grind and get after it and put people in the right situations? Is that enough in your mind?
Why not? I mean, they have look at the defense right now. Conservatively, I would say Auburn has a top 10 defense.
Sure. They're one of 3 teams in college football that have not given up more than 24 points.
That is, especially when you're out on the field for 100 years a game. I mean,
the other 2 are number 1 and number 2 in the country.
Yeah. So imagine what they would do with a
physical pain to say that. It's ridiculous.
It should make you feel that way. So my point is,
it's such a joke how we're in this situation. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
Zach is slightly emotionally attached to Auburn, in case anybody hasn't noticed. But
I want him to win.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's your alma mater. The question becomes, who do you hire as your coordinators to get offense going? Until they figure out quarterback,
Right.
you can sign 25 folks. It's not going to matter. You got to have a quarterback. Look at the top 10 in the playoff poll. All of them got quarterbacks that are successful. That's the deal.
Yeah, and they like his offensive coordinator. I was told Joe Craddock is their OC, and I love that Darian Mensah leaves Tulane, and they're like, okay, we'll figure it out, and they have. Their offense has been fine, not as good as it would be with Mensah. Mensah's balling, but Joe Craddock, it seems like he's done a good job, and so there was speculation early in the process. I've been told by somebody that I trust and that seems to be in all of this, they're not expecting, if it is Sumrall, that Joe Craddock would come with him. And so this then leads to, okay, they're going to go out and get somebody who may be better than this, which is probably best for Auburn. No offense to Joe Craddock. I think he's done a good job, but I think Auburn needs to go. If they get Sumrall, you got to assume he'll be over the defense. You need to go get a hot shot offensive coordinator. It has been too long where Auburn has not had an offense. It's been too long. You have to fix that immediately.
I know this is a shot in the dark because he may get a head coaching job. My first phone call is Buster Faulkner. I mean, he's only an hour and 45 minutes away. He's at Georgia Tech. Their offense is as annoying as it gets. Imagine what he could do with the toys that Auburn has. But it doesn't have to be Buster, but it's got to be somebody that's a top 20 coordinator, period. Preferably a younger guy that can also recruit. That would be nice.
I want the guy at Baylor.
That wouldn't be bad either. They run the ball pretty efficiently. And
Jake
they got an NFL
Spavital. I would love to have him as an offensive coordinator.
What's his name?
Jake Spavital.
Yeah.
I mean, Sawyer Robertson's dealing. I mean, imagine if you had it, especially if you can get a guy to to have a quarterback come with them. Similar to what we saw, Oklahoma do with, getting guys from Washington State. I would love to get a package deal, get a hot shot OC, bring a quarterback with them, and then just see what happens. That'd be awesome.
Unfortunately, it sounds easy, but it's not. But yeah, I get it. You never know. It could be some guy from the FCS. Look at the quarterback at Ole Miss. You just never know. I mean, he's from a small school in the state of Michigan. I'm from Indiana, and I had to think about where that school was. That's how.
Yeah, it was Ferris State, which is worth noting. Ferris is not a state.
It's so wild.
Ferris is a wheel, not a state. Do you think when it comes to talent acquisition, do you think if it is John Sumrall, I have a hard time seeing you stay with DJ Durkin on staff if John Sumrall is the decision? And hopefully I'm wrong, but for the sake of conversation, let's assume I'm not on this. And it is John Sumrall, and you lose DJ Durkin, who we've heard, ever since Hugh Freeze has been fired and that DJ Durkin has been named interim head coach, how much the players absolutely love this, that it's DJ Durkin. Does it hurt you from a player retention standpoint in this battle with the portal that Auburn will have early next year when it opens? How much does that hurt you if you do go with John Sumrall and DJ Durkin is not a part of the staff?
That depends on the following answer to this question. Does another prime SEC school take Durkin as their DC and just completely overpay him because they know they're getting some players with it? I could see if Kiffin's DC left, or
oh my gosh,
if you give Kiffin Durkin,
oh my goodness, that would be scary.
That's what I'm saying. What if Kiffin went to Florida and he got Durkin to go with him?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, no, they've got a shot to win a natty if that happens.
Yeah, right away. So yeah, but it just depends. Maybe LSU hires Durkin. There are certain places it's just even easier than Auburn.
Right.
So unless that happens, I think he would consider it. But at the end of the day, we all have egos. I'm sure Durkin wants the job. If you get picked over him, do you think he's going to want to work for the guy? And I'm sure that's why you're saying, I doubt this happens.
Yeah, for a guy that's younger than him, and arguably Durkin has a better resume defensively than Sumrall would.
Right.
Does.
So it makes it difficult.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing them coexist. There's other guys that we've talked about where it would make sense. Kenny Dillingham, James Franklin. I think those make more sense to keep Durkin on staff. I don't know if this one does with John Sumrall. Should that impact your decision? I go back and forth on it. There's two really, there's arguments on both sides that I think make a ton of sense. So I'm curious your thoughts on who would be best from a talent acquisition standpoint for Auburn amongst all these leading potential candidates. Let's jump into that in just a moment right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from those trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated phone line. Visit supplyhouse.com and sign up for free. Use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook right now. The Auburn Tigers, a 6.5-point dog against the Vanderbilt Commodores in Nashville this weekend. Of course, the NBA is back as well, and FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So head over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Brian Smith joining us. He is the host of The Portal, that is Locked On's recruiting, transfer portal, NIL show. He does a fantastic job. Go give him some love. So you also do Locked On Seminole. So I know you've been looking at other coaches that appear to be available. And I mentioned a few at the end of last segment, but of the realistic candidates that have kind of been tied to Auburn, is there one that you think would be best when it comes to attracting talent via the portal or from a recruiting standpoint?
It depends on who you think is realistic, because it sounds like a certain guy that was just at Penn State's going to end up at Virginia Tech. So do we want to count him?
Yes, I think we absolutely should count him.
He would be top of the board. And the reason I say that is James Franklin, when he was at Penn State, for all his game day faults, his ship was tight in terms of who they signed, how they matriculated them up the roster, they developed. Sure. It's proven. Now, do I think he's perfect for the SEC? Probably not, but he's going to out-recruit you 9 out of 10 times.
Won at Vandy.
I know it's pretty hard to do. And, I mean, because you recruited in Nashville, that means you've recruited Montgomery, you've recruited Atlanta, you've recruited Mobile.
Right.
Yeah, so, and as a Penn State head coach, he recruited Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, so he's familiar. That would be the easy pick. After that, it gets very dicey. I only know so much about Durkin because as a head coach, he was at frickin' Maryland. I mean, that's a regional school. And I know Auburn's recruited out there because of Durkin, but they don't normally recruit it. And that's just not a program with a lot of pull. No idea what he can do. Sumrall, we just discussed that. Does he really have serious pull with the 5-star kids? We're guessing.
Probably not right away.
Who else would we be talking about? Like those three, and who else? Realistically.
I think Dillingham is part of the conference. I can't tell how real that is, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Some people seem to think it's real. Some people really want Brohm. I don't know how realistic that is.
Brohm would be, oh my God, could you imagine him with the wide receiver core? That's $320 a game, brother.
That'd be fun. That'd be great.
I'd go to games again.
Especially if you could keep Durkin. Oh my goodness, that'd be so fun.
It's top 10 team.
Yeah. So for that
Pretty
reason,
much overnight. Yeah. If Brohm came, I know that he can recruit, and much like Franklin, he's a tremendous evaluator with some of the 3-star kids. One of the things Penn State did when he was there, Franklin found a bunch of 3-star kids that even Virginia Tech or whatever wouldn't offer, and they ended up being all Big Ten caliber players. So they figured it out. And you're going to get some players at Auburn anyway.
Yeah.
Brom's done the same thing at Louisville, taking kids out of Florida that Miami or UF or FSU didn't offer. So
right.
All those guys are good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Does the recruiting element of deciding who your next head coach should be, how much should it matter? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at KiaAutosportColumbus.com. Look, if you're in the Auburn, Opelika area, if you're in the Atlanta area, take the short drive over to Columbus, Georgia, and go check out our friends at Kia Autosport Columbus. They're right off of Whittlesey Boulevard. And as soon as you step in to say, hey, I heard about you guys on Locked On Auburn, and you will save $500 off of any new Kia right then, right there. Of course, new Kias come with tires for life, as well as some other perks. So be sure to talk to your sales associate once you get there about all of that. And of course, you can check them out online. KiaAutosportColumbus.com. Browse their inventory and start saving today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us. With Auburn's access to resources and NIL and fan support and facilities and all of these things that make Auburn an attractive job, Brian, how much should you value the recruiting prowess of a head coach? And maybe some of this, and why I'm doubting it, is an overreaction to what we just went through. Maybe some of it is an overreaction to what I'm seeing right now throughout college football before things have really stabilized in this new NIL rev share era that we're in. But it just seems to me that if you win at Auburn, they're going to want to come and play here. Yes, you've got to do the work. Yes, you have to build relationships. Yes, you have to keep people on campus and go watch their games and all of that stuff. I get it. But am I crazy to say that maybe they overhyped the recruiting prowess aspect part of this equation when they hired Freeze a few years ago?
I think that's possible because it's not just recruiting anymore. It's how you manage NIL. And if you don't believe me, just head on over to Clemson, South Carolina. I mean, that's blatant obvious. But even Kirby is doing it a little different now, and I don't think he likes it. Nick quit because of it. You have to put your ego aside and understand that sometimes recruiting is not always relationship. It's NIL based. Auburn's done better with that than just about anybody, honestly, because they were losing and still beating people with recruiting. Imagine if Auburn was 8-4 this year, what their class would be. It's not that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah.
So my guess is you have to, like, Kirby's the great example of, he even made a comment at a post-game presser in the last year. I don't spend as much time with my family as I like because I'm recruiting. I'm like, whoa. I mean, that's a commitment. So you still have to do that, but you have to understand the NIL side too. It's not one or the other now. It's a balance with every player, because it's not just getting him. Do you tick off the guys in the locker room? That's how it should be worded now. It's changed, and it's really awkward. Ask Florida State about that, by the way, that 2014. Didn't go to the locker room.
Yeah. And, you can say what you want about Freeze, but the front office operation that has been set up while he was here does seem to be effective. And, whether they're getting the money or delegating the money evenly or correctly, I think that's a different conversation. But they have been able to pay everyone. Are they overpaying some people? Yes. I think you had to pay more for some people because you weren't using them, or because you were losing, and it's tough to pay people to sit in general, especially if they're sitting and waiting and they're losing. It's going to get more and more expensive. And then I think the question is, like, was that actually worth it when you could probably go get a similar guy in the portal later if you really needed to? But whatever. But I do think, though, Auburn is set up when it comes to NIL and overall, like, athletes being paid. Whoever comes in, like, I think that's going to be a good situation for them.
Yeah, the setup at Auburn is one of the better in college football. If you get a guy that's truly dedicated to building relationships, aka don't be Brian Kelly, then you'll be fine. That's it. I mean, it's not hard to get assistants to come to Auburn either. It's a cheap place to live. The people are nice. It's easy to get the guys to come. So it's really on the head coach to be somebody that's willing to do the closing. Your assistants and your back office are the lead. You're the closer as a head coach. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about half of it, at least, for a head coach. Hiring your coordinators and understanding NIL is the other half. But that's I don't think it's that hard to think that year 2 at Auburn, for whatever, year 1, you never know. Year 2, they could be top 10. Flat out. If they hire the right guys as the assistants and the coordinators, year 2, you could be in the playoff. Because I think that the talent, again, we don't know who's going to stay. Zach and I talk about this all the time off the air. We guess, but we don't know until certain coaches are hired because everything's relationships.
Yeah, I mean, and
So,
you know, I think it'd be impossible for them to keep everyone, right?
100%. You're going to lose one guy that's going to tick you off, minimum. It's going to happen. And that's why I don't have
At least
26.
And there's going to be some that seem it's going to cause a lot of reaction, but it's not going to be that big of a deal, but it's going to feel big, if that makes sense.
100%.
There's going to be a lot of that, and we'll see. We'll see how we handle that when it comes as a fan base. But there's going to be a little bit of a reset. Now, fortunately, whoever comes in, regardless of the reset, is going to be a better situation for whoever comes in than it is when Freeze came in. Like, Freeze did leave the ops better than when he found it.
It's not even close.
We can say what we want about Freeze. He failed on a lot of things, didn't win a lot of games, but the fundamental operations are better now than they were, which is good. And so now, you know, hopefully we see whoever comes in able to capitalize on some of the stuff that he had set up. But just a quick pivot, you know, just for a second here. What are your thoughts on Auburn heading up to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt? Ashton Daniels named starter. Or reports came out that he's expected to be the starter yesterday. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on Auburn heading up to Vanderbilt?
I'm not very hopeful if they're starting Daniels, and I haven't heard a single word about Deuce on 2 levels. Number 1, Daniels is not ready. Number 2, why isn't Deuce getting a chance? Because that means he's probably not ready, or the way he's not confident in him. And Bandy's style of defense on top of all that makes you work the field, post-snap reads and all that stuff. So a change at quarterback is rough against Clark Lee's defense. They're not unbelievable, but they're not giving you freebies.
Yeah. So, the Deuce Knight stuff is interesting because logically it would make sense. Like, but this coaching staff is not worried about next year. They're worried about now. So they're doing the best thing they can that they think, you know, gives them the best chance to win on Saturday. Is there an argument that there's a chance that Deuce Knight has higher upside on Saturday? Yes, there is. But the other element of it is, you know, some of Deuce Knight's social media antics. Can you start him?
Oh,
like what kind of mess? Have you seen these?
Well, I know he did something with Instagram, took it down. What happened?
Yeah, he took down all of his stuff, and then he unfollowed Hugh Freeze, and then.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And then
that's before he was fired, right?
Correct.
Oh wow.
The assumption was it was in response to the Damari Alston situation. And so then a few days ago, a graphic goes up of like, you know, Damari Alston expected to portal this offseason, which, I mean, duh, right? But okay. And then he commented under it and it was like, I'm right there with you or something. That could be like I'm supporting you, like I'm with you, man. Or it could be, yeah, I'm with you in the portal. Like, I think that could mean either thing. And of course, there's a bunch of comments and there's no clarification. We're like, I think you probably knew what he was doing with that, regardless of it. So then my question is like, can you start him when he's doing that?
That might be a lot of answers for multiple questions.
Good. It could.
I would guess that unless they cleared up behind closed doors, maybe DJ had conversation with him. Unless that went really well, the answer is no.
No, you can't start him.
Yeah, because he's the quarterback. It's one thing if he's the nickel. Quarterback's the face of the program. That's a whole nother animal.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's a guard or something, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, your quarterback, because that would be like a lead in on Sports Center.
Good.
So, yeah,
it could, for sure.
I didn't know that he had unfollowed Hugh Freeze. That, ooh. I didn't agree.
Like, I don't care, but you know what you're doing when you do that. Like you're saying, I'm okay being a distraction. So
that doesn't work at any college football program. What a one.
I don't.
one in the Southeastern Conference. So,
Does Auburn win against Vandy on Saturday?
I mean, I'm taking Vandy. I don't know what you're doing. I'd say Vandy by 10. Be my guess. I'll go 24-14 Vandy.
24-14. Not a bad score. Not a bad score prediction there. Brian, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Portal Podcast every day, noon Eastern, live shows talking about recruiting, portal, coaching. Just got done talking about Freeze a couple of days ago and all the dilemma there. But I probably have some more. And of course, you can check me out anywhere on social media at FBScout_Florida. It is a wild time in the portal and recruiting, to say the least.
It is. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.